Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Hello, how do you do? We are the boys in white and blue, and we're back with another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhower.
And never before has our podcast's name been more appropriate for Vancouver Whitecaps than this season, because there is still time, it appears, in every single Whitecaps game for them to launch a comeback and get back into the game, taking a point, taking all three. They took all three on Friday night, and we're going to delve into the Whitecaps Houston game in this show, bring you some post-game audio, look at the lie of the land in the Western Conference, and have a little bit of a delve into the Whitecaps running as well. Have a look at some of the comings and goings this week in Whitecaps land, and a few other things that we'll chat about as well. But before we get into all of that, how has your week been, Zach? I know Bundesliga's back, so you've been enjoying that.
Oh, yeah, how can you not? It's good.
I managed quite fine, to be honest.
Yeah, you watch that British rubbish football, right?
English.
Oh, I thought you hate the English.
I like watching English football. It's the best league in the world. Have you not seen the adverts for it?
It's definitely not that to me.
I haven't actually caught up. We're recording this on Saturday night. I haven't actually caught up with the games today. I do have football, and I watched it for the first time on Friday afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Crystal Palace Arsenal game. I was quite happy with the production and everything on it, but there's been a lot of criticism because they're only streaming it in 720 as opposed to like 1080.
Is the zone 10 like the zone higher?
Yeah, the zone was pure HD. This is just 720. So folk,
that's bad.
Especially folk with 4K TV are saying the picture quality is terrible. The sound for a lot of people was dropping in and out as well. I've got to say, mine was fine. I watched it on my Fire Stick. I had trouble downloading the app on my Fire Stick. I had to change my account temporarily to America to download it there and then put it back to Canada, and then it works weirdly. I had no issues, but a lot of folk have. Have you? I know you've got the football. Have you used it much? And what have you made
used
of
it? I don't love it. I've used it mostly to watch One Soccer, but it actually... I might have, after this experience, I might just go back to One Soccer next. Well, if One Soccer can keep on keeping on and keep its fight against with the CRTC against Rogers or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that this week in the Globe and Mail that they're taking, for anyone that doesn't know, they're trying to take Rogers to the CRTC for not allowing them to get on their cable packages, basically, and they're saying it's a monopoly and it's denial of their business and fair trade, and they do have a very valid point, to be honest.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. But like, I just did it because my One Soccer was up, and I was like, okay, there's stuff I want to watch on One Soccer. I might as well just get all this at once. I really, I don't know how much I'll watch live and how much I'll record, but I do enjoy Serie A. So Serie A is on there, and so I'm looking forward to that starting next week. Hopefully we'll catch a little bit. But I mean, for me, the priority is the Bundesliga is. I mean, I've only watched 3 of the 8 games from the weekend. They're not 8 of the 9 games are on TV this weekend.
Yeah.
And
Do you have Sportsnet World?
yeah, unfortunately, I pay for Sportsnet World,
Right.
which feels horrendous. But well, they have the Bundesliga. I'll pay for it. I gotta see if there's a better way to do what I'm doing. Like I like that I can PVR virtually all the games on my TV. Like they're
Yeah.
a few of them are like you get one Friday, Saturday morning, Saturday second one. You usually get 5 live, sometimes 6. And then the others they play on replay, and so you can catch them there that way. So that's great for me because I'll watch them throughout the week. But yesterday, obviously, well, actually, they're showing some Bundesliga 2 again, like they did the end of last year. So I got to watch. Who was it yesterday? It was fun. Tomorrow is Kaiserslautern versus St. Pauli at the Fritz Walter Stadion in Kaiserslautern, or the Betzenberg, which I'm really looking forward to. But what was it yesterday? It was really enjoyable. Oh, it was Greuther Fürth against Karlsruhe. So not a very flashy game.
It was the last episode that was our German special.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you should have saved all
I'm
this
sorry.
chat for then.
But it was great watching. Kirk and I enjoyed watching it. There's a couple of players on Greuther Fürth who have been Bayern players, so watching them was fun. And then tomorrow I'm not going to watch it live because it's 4:30 a.m. But I'm going to watch the Kaiserslautern St. Pauli game at some point throughout the week. So I'm going to watch 8 Bundesliga and 2 second Bundesliga games this week, and then of course there's a Bundesliga team playing on Wednesday, which I'll be watching. 2 teams that play in white. I'm hoping for the German one to win.
Oh, of course, it's the Super Cup, isn't it? Real Madrid, Frankfurt.
It's a super cup.
But
Yeah, lots
the
of good
reason I
German stuff.
mentioned that is because you've got Sportsnet World, so you're paying for that. And if you want to watch the Bundesliga, you need Sportsnet and or Sportsnet World, depending on how much of it you want to watch. We've covered this in the show a few episodes back about all the different things. So I still have DAZN because I primarily watch darts on it, and I've got the darts, I've got boxing, there's obviously the Champions League as well, and Europa League, Conference League, so it's great for that. They've got the Championship, they've got the Carabao Cup. So for me, right now, DAZN is still worth it, but my subscription expires in January, and I'm probably not going to renew it, because they've put the price up. They've lost the Premier League, but they've put the price up.
That was
which is a
weird.
ballsy move. But it was interesting. I don't know if you noticed on Twitter, Friday and Saturday, DAZN was trending. And as soon as I saw it was trending, I knew why.
Yeah.
And it's because that was when many people first realised that DAZN didn't have the Premier League rights, and it was on Fubo, which most folk hadn't heard of, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous that you need all these different things. I got my Fubo subscription because I had a deal in the summer where it was $100 for the year. So I thought, I'll get it for a year, I'll try it. I cancelled One Soccer on Telus. I do like the PVR facility on Telus to watch and fast forward through games. I haven't tried the record facility on Fubo yet, but I've been fairly happy with Fubo so far, just from the quick experience this weekend. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts as well. But I mean, it's so much money you've got to shell out for all
The
this.
other thing about DAZN is you are able to watch Tejan Buchanan play most of his games because they have the Belgian league.
Yeah,
So
'cause that was live.
last year I would go through Tejan's games, and then Bayern had a striker on loan at Anderlecht, so I'd watch a bunch of Belgian football. But yeah, my DAZN runs out soon, and I might renew I might do month to month just to watch Champions League, and then take whatever the time off, during the World Cup.
Share my login, I'll give you.
Yeah, no, I'm not really comfortable doing we're doing that. But you're right. It is kind of it's a cycle though, right? Or it's not, maybe not a cycle. It's the progression of football and television in Canada, right? Like we went from having nothing. We went from
it's
having
feast or famine.
Yeah, exactly. We went from having Soccer Saturday where you're watching last week's highlights, right? But then we had everything, and it was not everything. We had a lot, and it was free in most cases, or you had to pay maybe for this league or that league, But now it's you got to pay for everything, and they're all in different things, and it's very difficult to have all of them.
Yeah, it's especially at this current times as well, where there's people really struggling money-wise, cost of living's going through the roof for everything, inflation's going up. Folk are going to have to make their decisions. And we spoke about this when MLS announced their new Apple deal, because from next year, there's your other thing as well. Because, of course, DAZN's got MLS just now. How could I forget that?
Yeah.
For an MLS podcast.
Yeah. That's
and they're going to lose that next year as well. So...
Yeah, the Apple thing, though, it's weird because we don't know, right? Like, if you have Apple TV Plus, it's probably not going to be included in that. It's probably going to be some other
it's going to be...
thing.
There's going to be some games on Apple TV Plus, but if you want everything, you have to get a separate MLS Apple subscription. So we don't know the cost of that yet. We don't... I mean, hopefully there's a bit of a media discount that we can get.
But that's going to be crazy. If it's like $20 a month or $15 a month or like more than $100 a year, that's going to be crazy.
They're taking a gamble.
Yeah.
The people, and they've signed a 10-year deal, so it's a big gamble. But they're taking this gamble that people care enough about MLS to shell that money out if money is tight.
Maybe their plan is to get an old Italian on every team, and then hope that lots of Italian people pay for it.
That's the way to do it. I mean, that's how you sell tickets. Clearly working for TFC, they've turned things around. Insigne scored. No longer can we say that Simon Becher had more goals than Lorenzo Insigne. That lasted for less than 24 hours, but it was fun while it lasted. But I think that does bring us nicely into talking about MLS and talking about the Whitecaps. Although I am curious, let us know what streaming services you've got for football just now, and did you prioritise where your money was going to go? And are you going to prioritise even more? And where does MLS fit into your priority? I guess a lot will also depend on the quality of the service and what you get as well. But it's going to be all MLS all the time with individual shows and stuff. And as long as they make sure that every team is covered, it's never going to be fairly. Because obviously the Whitecaps are a bit down the pecking order compared to, say, Seattle or LAFC with their star-studded names. But as long as there's good stuff for fans of all teams, it's going to be interesting. But let's talk MLS now. Let's get into the Whitecaps game from Friday night. The Dynamo came to town, and I was confident in the build-up to this, probably up until Thursday. This should be a fairly comfortable win for the Whitecaps. They'll right the wrongs of the last two home games. They'll build on this away form. They'll build on the Canadian Championship win, and they'll kickstart their season running with a win over Houston that was going to give them a big confidence boost. And at the end of the day, they got the 3 points. The comeback kids did it again. And let's be brutally honest, it was a horrible game of football for the most part. It was not a good game. It was not a good performance from the Whitecaps. But we've talked about it before. It's how you leave them. That's always what they say in show business. It's how you leave them. You leave them wanting more. You leave them on a high. And as I always say, it's the end result that ultimately matters. And it doesn't matter necessarily how you get there. As long as you get there and you go home with the 3 points. That's pretty much what the Whitecaps did in this one, Zach. Yeah.
But, I mean, I think partly why things weren't better for them earlier in the match was they were so hampered by, who they could put on the field.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that right away then, because it was the worst possible build-up as a COVID outbreak took out 6 players. Although Vanni did say afterwards it only affected his starting lineup by 3 players.
So wait, Godinho, Kubas, and Dahome? Or
yeah, I would think that would probably be the 3 that he was talking about. But then it also maybe. I mean, poor Kyle. He's just not having any luck since he's come here.
Is he gonna get Godoyed?
I don't know how many cats he must have run over or mirrors that he's broken, but he does have had a bad string of luck. We'll come to Godoy in part 3 because but. I mean, it wasn't even necessarily the starting lineup, because I thought it wasn't a too bad starting lineup that they ended up going with. It wasn't ideal, but for who was available, because Cava wasn't able to start and go more than just a subs role, And then you look at the bench as well, and Schopf was on it, Berhalter was on it, and Becher were on it. But Vanni said later that they were basically just there for moral support. They weren't going to be playing.
Well, that's what you want for your substitutes. Moral support.
Yeah. If you want someone on the bench for moral support, I still feel there's a chance I can earn an MLS contract here.
Totally.
I can be great in this. Yeah. I can be like, come on, guys. Come on, you can do it.
Now warming up for the Whitecaps. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, that would bring a few. Boo, Vanni, you don't know what you're doing.
So Bickle, Berhalter, and Schopf were all just decoy subs.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Which does make you wonder why.
I can understand one, but a lot.
I guess maybe at a push, Schopf could have come on and run about, put himself in the shop window.
But what's wrong with Bickle? I thought
he's still getting up to fitness.
Oh, just
because Becher and Schopf haven't played games. And
Berhalter's still
he's
coming
just back from injury. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe at a push they could have gone a minute or so, but I think the lineup was pretty much the best that it could be with what he had on offer. But obviously the COVID outbreak hit that bench drastically. There was a couple of WFC2 call-ups, Ali Ahmed and Simon Becher, and whoa, they paid off, as we'll get to as the game went on. But one thing I want to talk about, and I tweeted about this just pisses me off. And it was explained to me why they do it, and obviously it is a bit different in North America, and it's actually a bit different in other places now as well. I didn't like that the Whitecaps, the day before the game, had to say which players came down with COVID. It's like, these are our players that aren't playing tomorrow. Because right away, you've tipped your hand to Houston. You've let them know a big key guy like Kubis all of a sudden is out. And then you see who else is out. And I'm pretty sure Houston could have worked out what the team was going to be from who was actually available. And based on that, they then put out their team and have their whole tactics and game plan based on that. I like the old-fashioned days where you would turn up to a game and somebody wasn't there and you'd be like, oh, I didn't know that person was injured, and you'd only find out afterwards what the situation was. But it was explained by a couple of folk on Twitter. Mark McMahon mentioned it, Manuel Veth mentioned it.
Didn't Steve tell us one of the reasons?
Yeah, Steve had mentioned in our chat as well that it all seems to be because of the rise of sports betting.
Yeah.
That if you're betting on the games, you have to have full transparency of who's playing and who's not. And if you're making decisions like this and putting that info out there for betting, then I don't want to sound like one of these UK pundits. The game's gone. But the game's gone. Like, if you're basing things around betting, and we know the influence that betting has in the sport, especially in the UK, it's plastered all over the jerseys of teams there and advertising boards all around, which is something that they are looking at trying to limit. But I just think it's bad that a team has to reveal that and tip its hand to the opposition.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the betting, but...
And I know all sports here do it, so I know it's not just soccer, but still, I just don't think it's ideal. But it is what it is, and the lineup was what it was, and it wasn't a great performance. We won't delve too much into most of the game, to be honest, because there's not tons to talk about. But 6 minutes in, Houston took the lead, and at first it was given to Fafa Pico, then it was given to Junkwa. Yep, then it was given to Junkwa, and then it went back to Fafa.
I don't know if he touched it.
I don't think he touched it.
I don't think he touched it either.
I think it was Junkwa's ball, but no matter what it was horrible defending.
Yes.
And it was the second phase of a corner. The Caps only cleared it to the edge of the box, fell to Junkwa. He just floated the ball in. It took a bounce on the 6-yard line. Fafa made his run, and because of that run, it put Cropper off. And I saw Cropper getting a bit of criticism for, he didn't even make an attempt to dive for it, and it's
he was coming to the man.
Wrong-footed.
Yeah, he was wrong-footed because he was coming to Fafa.
Because he thought Fafa was going to connect, and if Fafa connected, Fafa was not putting it where it went. Fafa was going to put it in the far corner.
Yeah. I have to say, player of quality of the game, Ranko did not look good as the ball floated over his head on that play.
Yeah, he
He
wasn't
was
my
one.
player of quality. For me, it
No,
was Julian Gressel hands down.
yeah, I can see that, but I heard lots of him getting lots of shtick as
Yeah,
well.
I saw on the Facebook page someone said, "Oh, he looks like he's still on his holidays," and it's like, what? He was excellent. I thought he was the best Whitecaps player for that 90 minutes.
Now, one of his best plays was, I think it was just under halfway through the first half. I haven't seen this a lot, and maybe you can correct me, from the Whitecaps in the time where they've used wingbacks, where Ryan Raposo, who I also thought had moments in the game, made a nice, or took on his man on the left side, went past him, put over a nice cross, and Gressel just kind of mishit it and drove it into the ground, and it bounced just wide.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's like, this is looking like a different kind of football than I'm
Yep.
used to Vancouver playing.
That's what I like my wing backs or
Yes,
fullbacks to do, and I've gone
totally.
on for years. And yeah, I mean that was a great chance. He just didn't get a full connection with it, and it went past. And let's be honest, that was pretty much the only thing that the Whitecaps had in that first 45 minutes was that chance. I mean, there just wasn't much an offer from them at all. But going back to the goal that they gave up,
Yeah.
how can you allow Fafa just to ghost in like that? It's just baffling to me. If I could really be bothered to watch all the goals back this season, it just feels like more than half of them has just been some guy waltzing in unmarked or rising unchallenged to meet a ball.
Do you think it's just still maybe this is a weak excuse, but do you think it's still maybe some of those backline players adjusting to the three at the back and who's got who and like where to pick up and all that kind of stuff?
Probably, because
or like
it does seem that there's a lack of communication.
thinking that the fullback or one of the midfielders has that run and then being caught out. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, Vanni said at halftime he wanted the back line to play much higher. He felt they were playing too deep. So it is maybe just getting those messages out. And I mean, Houston after that, they looked quite comfortable because the Whitecaps didn't really take anything to it. And the game picked up from about the hour mark. I've got to say, the first hour was pretty woeful. And Ulfarsson nearly made it 2 on the hour mark. Again, in acres of room. He just ghosts in, the ball comes over to him, and Cropper gets a hand on it, tips it onto the post, and then recovers the rebound. But if that had gone to 2-0 then, that was lights out. And for me, it was borderline season over for the Whitecaps at that point as well. But those are the fine lines in football.
We're still using that?
I genuinely think it's a very valid phrase, but yeah, we won't use it too much. But Gressel had a shot after that Clark produced a leg save on. And the game, for maybe a 5-10 minute spell, kind of flowed end to end. It got a little bit exciting, but then that was it. And then it went back into a lull again.
But that the shot that Cropper put onto the post, again, it like this whole game, although it was not the game wasn't great and was less exciting and engaging or whatever. It felt like this is like a stereotypical Vancouver game in 2022. Like they give up the lead, don't score in the first half, aren't really playing great in the first half, and halftime comes, and the other team, both in the first and or second halves, fail to take advantage of the other opportunities they create to extend the lead.
When that went off the post, I exactly thought of that because you've said that so many times.
And then Vancouver late comes back to either gain a draw or to out and out win the game. Like it felt such like a game in this last this season, maybe even a little bit back to last year, but definitely this season.
Well, Sarita tweeted out afterwards that was the 7th time that the Whitecaps have scored in the 85th minute or later to turn the game around and take at least a point. And they've taken 13 points from those games. And that's phenomenal. I mean, that is San Jose Goonies But I mean, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, it's not sustainable. Vanni says it's not sustainable.
No.
Everyone knows it's not sustainable. But they're sustaining it at the same time that we're saying that.
It's unsustainable, but also last year's run into the playoffs was totally unsustainable.
Yeah. And now we're getting it again. I mean, you talk about stereotypical games. Cava picked up a booking and is suspended for the next game. But he talked about that afterwards. It's like, I don't know what to do. I hold the ball, I get a booking. I try and give the ball back, I get a booking. He feels all his bookings are soft.
Well, he's being ignorant or just maybe naive.
It's Cava being Cava. But, I mean, that's a big loss, which we'll come to with him missing that next game with the Whitecaps being at the bare bones, because he went for an MRI this week and he's fine, so at least that was good. But yeah, it was another late show. The Whitecaps made a couple of subs. They brought Ali Ahmed on right away. He brought a spark. I've spoken on the show about Ali before. We've spoken to Ali on the show. We had a good chat with him a few episodes back. Check that out if you didn't hear it. He's a lovely lad. I want so much for him. He's so much potential. And he's had those opportunities and really taken them. And Simon Becher was the latest call-up as well.
Was it only his second?
Yeah, he got an injury.
Right.
So he got injured, I want to say down in Colorado for WFC2, but he was out for maybe 4 or 6 weeks, so he's just been slowly coming back. I had a good chat with him at one of the WFC2 games. Actually, it was when Texas were up, when I was hanging around for 20 minutes waiting for Pa. I filled my time chatting to Ali Ahmed. So at least I put it to good use. So we had a great chat. But Simon Becher came on in the 82nd minute, and we'll talk a bit more about the two of them in the next part. And 88th minute, it felt like from nowhere. It was a goal made by those two WFC2 call-ups. But before we even get to their involvement, it was Gressel again. He gets the ball, he's at the byline, cuts it back.
Was he just switched onto the left wing? Like him and Raposo just or no, Ali was playing like, so he was. What was his position at that moment?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but I'm glad he was there. But I'm glad he was where he was at that right time.
Yeah.
Because he cuts it back, and you've got to give Ali Ahmed so much credit for making that room and getting onto that pass. And then he tried the shot himself, which, if we're being honest, it wasn't much of a shot. But it took a deflection from the Houston player into the path of Becher and Cava. And Simon buries it in the back of the net. It's tied at 1-1. Delighted for him. It was a great finish. It was a great goal. And it got the Whitecaps back into this from nowhere. It was a great move all round.
Totally.
And we've spoken about this so many times. I felt they were going to go on and win it at that point. I just thought they're going to do this again. And they did. 2 minutes into stoppage time. And it was a great strike by Cava. He got some pace on it. But if you're Clark, you can't let that beat you.
No, I mean, yeah. I've said a number of times in the show, I do not rate Steve Clark. I thought he was not good at Columbus. Thought he was just as bad or worse at in Portland.
I was jangling my keys at the screen.
It's a powerful shot, and it hits, and whatever. Cava gives it his all, but that's a goalkeeping error. Like that's a horrendous goal. Like if we called up Marius Rovda, I can only imagine the things he would say about that goal.
Yeah,
from a goalkeeper's perspective.
I mean, Cava got some power on it, so there is that. But a keeper has to keep that.
You have to stop that.
Yeah, and it came again. Like Houston's goal from the second phase of a corner where the ball's headed out to the box. And I want to give Michael Baldissimo a bit of credit here because he kind of won the header. I'm not sure that he connected, but his challenge made the ball fall to Ranko. And then Cava says afterwards that he's screaming at Ranko, slide, to get the ball to him. And he didn't quite slide, but it came off his knee, I think. But it went into the path of Cava, who made so much room for himself.
I don't think it was his knee. But yeah, I think the guy actually, even on the Baldissimo as he went up, I think the guy the Houston player he went up against, I think, was sort of trying to call for a foul from Baldissimo. But yeah, if Baldissimo is not there, that doesn't happen. Or if he doesn't make or go up for the ball in that way, I don't think that happens that way.
It was a great moment, a great goal. The celebration was fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought Carroll was going to get a second yellow for kicking the corner flag, because I have seen some guys get yellow cards this year for kicking the corner flag.
Well, not even that. Going back to 2011, this is we've talked about this before, you and I. You're not allowed to go into the crowd to celebrate.
Yeah.
And so it's actually a booking.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if you remember that I was at that media day or whatever, and I was sitting at the back, and the I forget his name now, the guy from the CSA.
Yeah.
He was when he said that, it's a yellow card for going. And I think I just went boo, and everyone turned around and looked. And I went and apologized to him after, because I felt really bad. But no, it's supposed to be a booking, because you're not supposed to interact with the fans in that way, because it can create issues or problems or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
It's ridiculous, but
it's ridiculous.
If it's in the rules,
it's a safety thing, I think.
Yeah.
Whatever,
but it didn't matter. Who gives a shit? It didn't bring a second yellow card. It was the winning goal. It just sent BC Place into scenes of ecstasy again. And I watched the Houston post-game with Nakamura, and he just seemed shell-shocked. I think Houston just thought they had the job done. They didn't need to chase the game or even get a second. Because you look, they had Corey Baird and Mimo Rodriguez as unused subs.
Yep.
So they were just trying to say, oh, okay, 1-0, let's just do this. Let's see the game out. If you're a Houston fan, you're like, why would you not bring those guys on, go for the jugular, get that second, and kill the game off?
Especially in such an important game where if you win, you leapfrog Vancouver. I mean,
yeah.
If you're a Houston fan,
I mean, to me, that's their season done now. So
never say never, but I agree with you. Most likely, yes.
We'll have a look at how the West is standing in Part 3, and we've often said before, it's the Wild Wild West. Certainly living up to that tag again this season. But yeah, 3 points, fantastic victory. It was a must-win game for me, and they won it. So that was very important. Let's hear a little bit of the post-game just now from Vanni Sartini, who was obviously cock-a-hoop.
Well, at the end, we have 3 points. So, again, I don't know, we gave away a goal, like very naively, and in a very, I don't know how to say, really naive way. Then in the first half, we weren't playing well, because I think our back line was too low, and it gave them the possibility to pressure, to play the ball and skip our pressure. But even though we weren't playing well, we had the chance to tie in the first half. We were pushing, we were trying to cross. I think our offensive player were trying to overdoing. I was a little bit angry because they weren't doing offensively the thing that we tried. We were all trying to win the game with a special thing, instead of doing our scripted play, I would say. And so in the second half actually went much better, and in fact we had the chance, the possibility, of course, pushing more. They had one big chance, and Cody made a save, but at the end, I think when we scored the tie, I think it was a fair result, because we pushed much more. Then at the end we scored the 2-1, so we take the win, even if maybe the tie was a fairer result.
What does it mean to get this kind of result at this point in the year when you are still chasing the playoff spot?
I think that this win is, if we make the playoff, I think that should be in the highlights, really. If we make the playoff, that this is the win that should go there, because if we win the playoff, it's all because of this win. So it's a very important game, and we go from 0 to 3 points that allow us to stay on the course of what we said, starting the new mini league after the cup, of trying to win at home and sneak in 1, possibly 2 good results away. So it allows us to I don't want to say relax, but don't go in emergency mode against the Galaxy and try to go there and make a result there in LA.
You talked about the fact that it was an important win, and maybe it's a bit hyperbolic to say that the win saved the season, but the wiggle room is so small right now for the team. You can easily just fall out of the playoffs if you don't get a couple of results here. It was the same last season. Is this something that you really thrive on? Does this bring the best out of you to be under this pressure?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I like it, to be honest. I like to have the result to be under pressure. And I like to have this thing that that's the reason why maybe we did also so well in the cup, because we liked being in and out. So and also I would say historically, Italians were not the greatest planner. I'm talking about government too, the greatest planner in the world. But when we are in trouble, we are able to pull out something. So maybe it's in my DNA too.
He's the gaffer. You can't try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all.
Vanni Sartini there, very pleased with the victory, not so much the performance, but a win is a win in the end. They just have to somehow work out this slow start. And when I asked Vanni about it a couple of weeks ago, he joked, it's because we play into the supporters in the second half. Well, they were playing towards them in the first half this time, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah, it didn't.
So I think he needs to relook at that.
But speaking of supporters, he was wearing a nice Rain City Brigade.
Yeah, I thought that was nice. I thought we have to get him an AFTN t-shirt. We have had folk asking for AFTN merch, and I keep saying, we'll get it. So at some point, I will have to get some.
You can make like dozens of dollars off of doing that.
Bounty, yeah.
If there's one thing you can say about Rain City Brigade, they have made some nice shirts over the years.
Oh yeah. I haven't bought any because they're all black, and when you've got a dog, black, like my wardrobe pre-dog was all black, and you look at all my band t-shirts I've got just now, and they're all, and that's BAND. I do have a few BANNED. I'm kind of wearing.
Yeah.
One of them
Let's talking about your shirt today, the better.
But the Klaxons are. Yeah. Anyway, we should send out a still of this.
No, you shouldn't.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't. Okay.
No, you shouldn't.
But yeah, it was a nice t-shirt, and Vanni's sartorial elegance. I've liked what he's worn this year. He's had a good t-shirt selection.
So did I forget to mention what was the green thing he wore in Portland?
I forget what it said, but it was a bad color choice. Yeah,
yeah, because it looked like a Flounders top, and it came away to Portland.
Let's reclaim the green.
You can try and redeem that puke green all you want, Michael.
Yeah, not a nice colour. I mean, anything else you want to talk about from the game? Any individual players?
Well, no, I think the thing just for me is this is the archetype for Vancouver, even though, as he said there, Vanni and the coaches will want to change that. They want to be on the front foot. They want to get the lead. They don't want to have to keep nicking things, but at the same time, they're grateful. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to see how this is going to play out, man, because
I know. Can they keep it up?
If they could pull off what they did last year, but I think to a probably a greater degree this year, because the squad, despite the momentary virus issues and some injuries which are of concern, the squad actually looks like quite a bit better with Alessandro Schopp now.
Well, with him and Kubis and Gressel,
yes,
this has been a good window.
Oh yeah,
like you can look at the big name guys that's come into Toronto, and yeah, for all we say that it's a risk spending that money, they're big signings, they're massive splashes. You look at some of the players that's come into the LA teams and elsewhere in the league, like DC United added 2 DPs in this window. The latest being Benteke. Yeah. So, I mean, clubs are making moves, but I think the Whitecaps have made some of the best ones. They've strengthened where they've needed to strengthen, There's still
Well,
one gap, which we'll talk about in part 3. But
I can't say their moves are the best ones, Michael, because there are better qualities of players that you could get. But I think they have absolutely strengthened like key positions. With Kubas and Schaap, they could have like the best midfield.
Kubas's omission shows you how important he is already, because
yeah.
that midfield looked so impotent out there.
With Kubas and Schaap and Gold together, that's the best overall, I think, Vancouver midfield in the MLS era in many ways, most complete anyways. And so it's going to be interesting, and we can't close out our discussion on this game without talking about how encouraging it is to see players coming through the system, players selected in the draft, being able to play in a second team, a reserve league, whatever you want to call it, and honing their skills, and then being able to have a short-term contract to make match-winning contributions.
Yes, that short-term contract aspect is fantastic, and a number of teams have used it well. Earlier in the season, TFC were making a lot of call-ups from their guys as well, and some other teams were around the league as well, and the Whitecaps have used it. To be fair, they've had a needs must, but they've got that in place. We'll talk a little bit about that actually in the next part, as well as one of those guys that did make that contribution, Simon Becher, and we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Lucas Cavallini. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Now there's a word that I don't understand. I hear it every day from my old man. It may be Cockney rhyme and slang, it ain't in no school book. He says it every time that he gets mad. A regular caution is by on dead. Rub the old man up the wrong way, but you love your lyrics say. You cows and Mucha. When the kids are swinging on the gate. When the paper boys half an hour late. When the pigeons are pecking at his seeds. When the barber starts digging up his beans. You cows and
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part is a song I've played before over the years. It's from 1979, Cockney duo Chaz and Dave, taken from their album Don't Give a Monkeys, and that was Getcha. And I played that because I've had that song in my head since we drafted Simon Becher, because I thought that's a great song that you can just rewrite for him. So I had a little go, and it's like, when the kids are banging in the goals, Becher, it's a feeling that never gets old, Becher. And then just a chorus of, Becher, go son, Becher. I might be alone in trying to do that song. That's maybe why it's a good job I'm not on the terraces anymore.
Will that take off at Bayview?
I don't know, but we have been working on our East Fife podcast, and we've signed a guy called Ryan Schiavone. So we've been going the Nax My Sharona.
Oh,
Ryan Schiavone.
And is that taking off at the ground?
Ryan Schiavone. Well, a little bit. Unfortunately, my joy last week at East Fife being
You're not
top
top
of
of
the
the
league.
table anymore.
No, we got hammered 3-0 at home to the club that's just come into the Football League from non-league. And they looked woeful. I've got that fun East Fife podcast to record on Sunday. So if you want to listen to this will come out on Sunday night. And then the East Fife one will come out on Monday. So if you want to hear the joy. I went to bed on Friday night full of joy after the Whitecaps. Got a message from Doug that I do the show with over there saying, oh, nice late win for you guys. That's what you want. Must make you feel good. I was like, yeah, going to bed happy. Woke up to a 3-0 defeat. East Fife can always manage to do that to me. But anyway, we're not here to talk about East Fife. Unless you want me to, I can do a whole 3 hours on that. But yeah, Getcha, Chaz and Dave, Becher. Let's talk a little bit about Simon Becher. Sadly, as I said, we can no longer say he's got more MLS goals than Insigne, but he's tied with Insigne on MLS goals. Let's just go for that. But what a whirlwind couple of days. He gets the call up, as we touched on at the end of part one there. Comes on in the 82nd minute. And I'd been messaging Bahar during the game. We were just chatting. And I'd said that I hope we get a look at him, because there was nothing. Like, Toss did a lot of running out there, but they needed something in the attack. They needed to bring some kind of spark on. And we didn't talk in the first part about what I felt were a couple of weird substitutions, but Vanni last year down that run was making weird substitutions that we questioned, and we should have learned then that he knows what he's doing. They come good, and you brought on Jake Nerwinski for Blackman, and I thought Blackman was having a great game out there, and it's like, why are you bringing Jake on? And maybe he felt
some
Jake
head scratchers.
Could Jake get forward more? Was that what he was looking at? I don't know. Then when Becher was coming on, I thought, it's gonna be on for Toss, but no, they kept Toss on out there as well, and it was nice to see him coming on. So he came on in the 82nd minute. 6 minutes later, he's got his first MLS goal. It's like an absolutely dream debut. A crazy thing about Becher's goal is he became the 4th player to wear a Whitecaps number 29 jersey to score on his MLS debut / home debut. Can you work out who the other 3 were?
Yeah, that's pretty easy, I think. So Eric Castley, obviously.
Yep, 2011.
Octavio Rivero.
Yep, 2015. Whatever happened to him?
He's still playing. And the third I'm going to say is Dead Bull OG Jordi Reyna.
Yes, in 2017. So that's a lucky number. Whereas the number 8 jersey's been cursed over the years, and the number 9 you could say has been cursed as well.
And so was the 7 for a long time.
Yeah, and actually, what ones haven't been cursed over the years? Poor Jordan Much, he couldn't get his number 8 jersey.
Oh, man.
Should have brought that up in our German show.
No, you shouldn't have.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't. But, yeah, let's get back to Simon Becher. So, I mean, fantastic. And I was really pleased for Simon. I've watched him this season with WFC2, and he's worked his ass off in that team this year. He was a little bit frustrated in the early games. The breaks just weren't coming. He was playing really well, but the goals just weren't coming. But he's got 6 goals and 2 assists from his 18 appearances with the twos now. And he's worked really hard. He's formed a great partnership recently with Easton Ongaro. They've really linked up well, the two of them together. He's still just 23, taken this year in the draft, and we thought it was a good draft pick, and we just needed to see him get these minutes. And as you touched on at the end there, Zach, having this second team now to get these guys playing competitively and in some good games, it's really seen his play develop. It's given him some amazing confidence. The Whitecaps put Simon up after the game, so I'll bring you a little bit of audio from that now, just the questions that I asked him, and maybe a couple of others as well. Let's just hear from the man of the moment, Simon Becher. Hey Simon, congratulations on not only your MLS debut, but your MLS debut goal as well. Just talk a little bit about it. Has it sunk in yet, or is it going to take a few hours or tomorrow for it to fully sink in?
No, I don't think it has. It was just, kind of getting in the right spot, and those are the positions you want to be in, and the ball just fell to me, and it was just kind of a reaction, to be honest.
So when did you find out you were getting the call up, and what was last night like for you? Was it a bit of a sleepless night?
I found out earlier this week that I'd at least be training a day or two with the first team, and then on Wednesday afternoon I found out I'd be on the bench, and then yeah, and just kind of trying to prepare myself. And, it's just another soccer game in a sense. So just trying to keep my nerves calm in that sense.
You've had a really strong season with WFC2, and as the season's gone on, you've kind of really come into your own, and recently you've had a good partnership with Easton up front. The goals have been coming. How have you seen your game grow this season in MLS Next Pro to when you first came in after the draft?
Yeah, a lot of it is, getting into the same system as, with the second team that the first team has, and, trying to push ourselves at that second team level, because there's a lot of ambitious guys, a lot of really good players, or a lot of really good players on that team. And you've seen that, multiple guys have been called up this year. So, it's a high level there, and, just that really prepares you when you do step into, the first team environment. It's kind of the same system. So you don't really have to worry about thinking and all that stuff. You can just kind of play and be yourself.
So great stuff there from Simon Becher, great performance. I mean, it's a short sample size, Zach, but I like what he brought to the team. And the thing with the twos is you want these guys that get given this opportunity to seize it with both hands. It's something we've spoken about a lot in the history of the podcast, and something that Carl Robinson spoke about a lot when he gave the young guys opportunities. They had to seize it. Mm-hmm. The problem for those guys is they were coming in cold a lot of the time. They weren't playing games with the twos or whatever. We had WFC2 for a brief spell, but in like 2013, 2014, when you're giving guys like Bustos and Froze minutes into the team, and we spoke about how they maybe weren't integrated properly into it before. Now you've got these guys that are putting themselves in the shop window with WFC2. Vanni's at games watching them. Axel's at games watching them. They've got Nick there feeding back into them as to what they're doing. Vanni worked with a lot of these guys. Not obviously Simon Becher as a draft pick this year, but with a lot of the guys that's in the twos just now. He worked in them last year as an under-23 squad before he was the first team head coach. Mm-hmm. So it's a hungry team. There's a few guys for me knocking on the first team door. Easton Ongaro that we spoke to on the last episode scored again yesterday. It was a bad 3-1 loss for the team that's really kind of hit their playoff hopes hard. But Ongaro scored again, 4 goals in 3 appearances now. Does he get a call-up potentially with Cava suspended? White's got a rib injury and we don't know whether he'll be good to go. And they go with Toss at the start again. I'd imagine Beecher's going to get another call-up this weekend. You've got to ride that good performance, ride that goal, and you do need a striker. I think Ongaro's going to get a look sooner rather than later as well. But, I mean, we touched on it at the end of the first part. Having this team, it's just invaluable to the Whitecaps right now, and they're using it very well. Yeah,
totally. And yeah, you're right. They got some exciting young attacking talent there that it's going to make them have to make some hard decisions, both in these call-ups, but also I think moving forward into next year, right? Like,
yes.
I mean, this surely has to be like, I can't see them keeping. Can you see them keeping Toss?
No.
Again next year when you have like 3 young guys who are kind of knocking on the door. Surely you got to give one of them the chance.
Unless Toss goes on a tear and bangs the goals at the end of the year, I'd say no. You've got to go with the young guys. I mean, Ongaro said he's come here because he wants to get into MLS.
Exactly.
Whether that's with the Whitecaps or somebody else. But if you've got a guy that is scoring regularly, because MLS Next Pro, I know a lot of folk maybe haven't seen the games or whatever, it's a good high level. And teams are approaching it differently. A number of teams, they are stacked with the fringe MLS guys. So it's MLS quality that these young guys are getting tested against.
Well, and then you look around and you see guys making the breakthrough, like Mo Farsi now has a first-team deal, right, in Columbus.
And that's exactly why he went to Columbus.
Exactly.
And then we had Kwame Awua here that was on trial at the start of the year. He went to St. Louis's MLS Next Pro team, and he's looking to try and get a deal with St. Louis coming to MLS next season. And defensively, you've got the Campagna brothers. One of them, Mateo's obviously got that MLS deal. Christian, look, we've moved Godoy on. We need a centre-back. I would not be surprised if he maybe gets a couple of looks or call-ups. He's a very solid guy. He's had training stints with the national team, so they obviously think highly of him to bring him in for that. So this guy's knocking on the door, and the thing is, I said it's a hungry team. They're all pushing each other because they want this deal, but they're also all delighted for each other as well. Because Simon spoke about there was no family there, but his girlfriend was there, and there was a couple of the WFC2 guys that hadn't gone down to Salt Lake for the game yesterday that were there cheering him on. And when I spoke to Ali early in the season, and some of the other guys as well, the Campagna brothers, they're all so happy that these guys are getting these looks. And it's great for the team as well. And it's great then to sell this team next season to other young players of, look, you come in and you do the business here. We've shown that we're prepared to call these guys up and give them a look. So if you're a CPL guy and you're maybe in and out of a CPL team, or you're a good talent and you feel you've kind of reached your pinnacle, I genuinely think that more CPL guys will move to these teams to try and get an MLS deal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've talked in the past about how drastic the money differences between CPL and even MLS Next Pro, let alone MLS itself. So, the one thing that the Whitecaps, the mistake that they can't make is they can't, and I don't think they are. I think they're doing much better this year, especially with these short-term contracts or whatever, or short-term loans or whatever the language is around them. Is that they can't say now we have a pathway and then not actually use it.
Yeah,
and that's why I brought up the toss about toss later. If you keep toss, you are showing that you don't really care, or you're blocking the pathway. Essentially is what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, Toss has got his front office job. He's a bit older. He was a late addition as well because I mean, I think everyone thought he was going to get the deal, but it was a late addition. You've got to give, like, I mean, Becher, it's a short sample size, but you've also got like Emiliano Brienza, who came in at the start of the year and did well, but then he picked up an injury. And Ali Ahmed, it's like he had an injury that it's kind of derailed their development a little bit, but you know damn well that Vanni has monitored these and knows what these guys can do. And pre-season camp is going to be very competitive for these guys.
Oh, yeah. It's the kind of thing where in this format, you kind of need to be bringing at least one of these players through every year. Like at the end of this year, if one of those guys isn't signed up for next year, like before, like, the first day of the season or the last day before the season starts, it's kind of like between now and the end of January, one of those guys has to make the breakthrough. Otherwise, you're not showing that you're actually going to use the pathway.
Yeah, I mean, I
think they will. I think they will.
I bet big amounts Ali Ahmed gets a deal. Yeah. I mean, I think that is a dead set. I think he would have had one by now if it hadn't been slightly derailed for the injury. And when he's come in, he's not looked out of place. And these guys can still go and play WFC2 as well. And you look at the team, you've got like Flo Jungwirth. He's going to not be back next year. I think that's pretty obvious. He's on a high ticket as well. Yeah. So there's guys like that. Do you bring Godinho back? Do you bring these other guys back? So I think there will be opportunities there. So, I mean, Vanni knows the importance of this team, and he was with the under-23s, and he knows these guys, and it is a good group. And we've said it before, we've banged on a lot about the WFC2 team. If you haven't got out to watch them, not many more home games left this year. Get out to Swangard. Aside from anything else, it's a beautiful setting to go out and to watch the football match in. And these guys deserve your support. And they've played a really good season. I think it might be a struggle now for them to get into the playoffs. If they can win out, they're still in the mix, but that was a tough loss that they had yesterday. But either way, it's like, get out and support these guys, because these are the future of the club, and the club are using the team well. So, talked maybe Ongaro will get a call up soon. Maybe Ongaro will get a call up this weekend as well if White and Cava can't go. I think it's almost certain Becher is going to get another call up because they are going to be down to the bare bones against the Galaxy.
Can I ask? Maybe this is the wrong moment to ask you this, but there's a few players who, like, I know they called these up because they had a whole bunch of people out, but there's at least one player that I can think of that I don't think is injured anymore and was not in the 18.
Guti.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was in health and safety as well and just hadn't been announced, but yeah.
But think about the betters, Michael. You can't not announce that.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. As far as I know, he's healthy.
How can he not? I mean, other than, I guess, not being match fit is an issue, but...
Well, yeah. I mean, that is probably the reason if you come to think of it. I mean, maybe he comes in to the bench. And I mean, these guys that's in health and safety with COVID just now, they're going to be back for the game against the Galaxy on Saturday. They're all going to be out of it after their 5 days. So there's a much bigger squad to pick from. The loss of Cava is big because like he's playing with a swagger just now. He's got 8 goals, 2 assists this season, 19 appearances. His first 2 seasons here, he had 9 goals and 1 assist from 39 appearances. So 1 more goal and he ties the first 2 seasons combined. So this is a much different Cava. And he's playing, but with a smile. He's got a joy again. And I think he's enjoying his football here more than he has in this whole time here. And he's still got another year of his contract to go. But we won't delve too much into Cava because we've talked a lot about him. But it's nice to see this Cava.
Yeah. Well, Michael, it's a World Cup year. And we've talked at length about how he needs to perform to get into that squad or to not be excluded from that squad.
I think he's pretty much booked his place now, but with his form off late. I can't see him being overtaken now. And also John Herdman knows what he can bring and he's got that experience. 29 now, and you need a bit of experience in amongst a very young squad. Let's hear a little bit of audio from Cava after the game yesterday as well. Hey Cava, congratulations on the win and the goal. This team, it's like a never say die spirit. They fight to the very end. What do you think's brought this out of the team? Vanni said it goes back to last season, but it's something that teams either have it or they haven't. We've seen it before in the league with San Jose, but this team just never gives up.
Yeah, I mean, and the team has a lot of sacrifice. The team is willing to go the extra mile, and we don't stop fighting until the last minute. And I mean, we've how many games have we won so far this season in the last minute? So it shows a lot of character and great attitude from the players. So we got to keep this up. And I mean, here at BC Place is something special because we tend to get these games more at home, but also on the road we've been having some fair results as well.
Simon talked about once the first goal went in, the feeling was there was going to be another coming, and it did feel like that, and that's something I think the team has installed, that right up to the end I always expect the team to get at least 1 or 2 goals in the last 5 minutes, stoppage time, whatever. That's something that must have opposition players as well on the back foot because they know what you can now bring right to the very end.
I think the second half we started better. We started keeping more possession of the ball, dominating in their half, and just not giving it away. It's too easy. And then obviously trying to get some opportunities in. I had a couple once I came on, and it showed that we were gonna win the game. We would make a big turnaround, and after my first goal, my second goal, I mean, I was happy.
The joy in your face when you got that goal, you really seemed to be enjoying your football at the moment. I was a bit worried you were going to get a second yellow for kicking the corner flag. I thought that was a kind of automatic thing, but I don't know. But you do seem to be really enjoying your football these days.
Yeah, I mean, no, I wasn't worried about that. Just the adrenaline, the good feeling of scoring a goal in the last minute. It's something special, especially here at BC Place in front of the fans, in front of the fans who that side of the pitch that never get really the attention. So it was something special for them today, and I had to go celebrate with them. But yeah, all around, I'm feeling good, confident, and that's what's important.
So, yeah, as I said to Cava there, he's got a smile on his face, he's playing with a real joy, and he just said he wanted to celebrate with that side of the pitch because they don't get to celebrate that much because all our goals have been coming at the other end because we've been shooting down that way. But big games are coming thick and fast. That Houston game was a must-win. You can almost look at every single game that they've got left, which we will be doing in the next part, and say that they're all must-win games. And they start next Saturday with a trip to LA to take on the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Galaxy's slump is continuing because they lost on Saturday 4-2 away to Sporting Kansas City. They were 3-0 down at the half.
Which is crazy to think that they lost to Kansas City, who've had such awful year.
Yeah, they've been snake bitten with injuries as well. They've just been so unfortunate, and we know what Kansas City are capable of, and they're not a team that really should be down the bottom of the West with the talent that they've got, but they haven't got that consistency. Dominant in that first half, but then they let the Galaxy come back into it, and they scored 2 late goals, and then Casey went on, got a fourth to tie it up 5 minutes into stoppage time. But for the Galaxy, that's 1 win and 5 losses in the last 6 games. Now, they have been better at home than on the road, but in previous years, LA was not a happy hunting ground, just for the Whitecaps in general. They went down there, they've struggled to get points. Still a battle when they go to play LAFC, but in recent years, they've been pretty darn good against the Galaxy.
And the Galaxy didn't have their new Barcelona guy, did they?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a difference maker he's going to be for them, but it is following up what they did last year. It's a strong start and then slip down the standings. And Vanni, not our Vanni, but the bad Vanni, he is the evil Vanni. He is... His coat's on a sugly peg, I feel. If they don't make the playoffs this year, I don't know how much time they give him. I would imagine he'd go, but is that just being trigger happy? I don't know.
I wouldn't disagree. It's a possibility, but I still think he's going to be given a significant amount of time there.
I think the Caps can go down there next week and take at least a point.
I think that if they follow the template of so many of their home games this year, I think LA might create enough chances to extend a 1-goal lead.
Yeah, but remember they are a different team on the road, and they get off to fast starts away from home.
That is true, but those fast starts haven't always equaled taking the lead or scoring goals.
Yeah, I mean you've got to think. As I said, the guys will be back, so Kubas will be back into that.
Kubas is huge.
The back three, I don't know if you go with the same starting 3 again. Do you bring Jake in from maybe Brown? Is that going to be the rotation? I don't think we'll see much of Florian Jungwirth in the back, barring a heavy workload with midweek games, maybe even. But I think he's out of favour just now, so I think it's kind of Perm 3 from 4 for that defence for the rest of the season.
I think that's fair.
Barring any late additions that they bring in the free agency, we'll talk about that a little bit in the next part. What are you hoping for? Well, obviously we're hoping for a win, but what are you expecting down against the Galaxy next week?
I don't disagree. They should be taking at least a point, but I think it's going to be kind of like a 3-2 kind of game, but I think it might be 3-2 for the Galaxy.
See, I'm thinking 2-1 Whitecaps, but I do worry about the front. If Brian White can get fit, even in a bench role, just to have him to bring off the bench, I think would be key. I don't know. If they bring up
Ongaro, can you see them starting him?
No, because I could maybe see them starting Becher.
Yeah,
because I mean, Toss put in a shift.
Oh right,
against Houston. Yeah. You'd imagine he would get the start again, but in saying that, he put in a shift, but he was pretty ineffective.
Yeah, that is true.
And he has looked better coming off the bench.
That is,
and again,
also true.
It's an impact player that you've got to bring off the bench if need be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I genuinely would. If White can't go, I'd start Becher. If White can go, you've got to start White. I mean, I've had a rib injury in the past, and they can be something that takes a while to heal.
Yeah.
And
yeah, totally.
You don't want to risk it getting worse and then being out for longer, which it has been kind of the thing with the Whitecaps with these guys as well. It's like they're almost ready to go, but you don't want to take that risk. That's the whole Eric Godoy thing.
Yes.
Of course, Eric is now no longer with the club, and we'll talk about that in the next part. We'll also take a look at just the lie of the land in the West, because it's absolutely batshit crazy right now, and there's so much to play for down the stretch. It's going to be a very exciting end to the season, and we'll be back looking into that after this.
Hi, I'm Vanni Sartini, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I wanna feel it day and night. You are the power of my life. I wanna pump it better. I wanna feel it day and night. My work of my delight. You are the power of my life. I wanna pump it better. I wanna feel the burn when my thirst don't burn. The anabolic supplement, you're never gonna stop. Yeah, you better suck it up before you suck it in. Activating motherfucking base mode. Everybody doom. Do you really wanna work it out? 'Cause I won't take it slow. This fucking life is what I'm all about. I wanna feel it day and night. I wanna feel it day and night. My work of my delight. You are the power of my life. I wanna pump it better. I wanna feel it day and night. My work of my delight. You are the power of my life. I wanna pump it better.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part is our Artist of the Month here at AFTN for the month of August. German band Electric Callboy. That was their song Pump It, taken from their upcoming 2022 album Techno. And last week I mentioned that Hyper Hyper I played was a song that they were going to put into the Eurovision Song Contest. I was wrong. It was this song, Pump It. I mixed them up. So this is the one that was going to go in. Again, metalcore, that song, Eurovision, probably wasn't a good mix, but it would have been fun to see them in there. I've got some other interesting songs to play for them over the month. I'm going to go back to their earlier stuff as well, because they actually changed their lead singer 2 years ago. And they changed their style slightly, but some of their early stuff is really good as well. So we'll be bringing you that over the rest of the month. Had someone get in touch saying that they loved the Artist of the Month for August. Always nice to hear that. I just need one person to say they love it, and it makes me feel that we can play more hardcore metal bands on the show. Maybe we'll have Slipknot as Artist of the Month.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I love Slipknot.
That's good.
I used to go and see them, and I had the orange boiler suit that I bought, homemade, and I had Slipknot stuff written on it and things. I've got my mask, my GIMP mask that I like to wear.
Oh, you wore that lots.
Yeah, not even for the concerts, just...
No, yeah.
Yeah. I took it to a East Fife game once, where it was we were doing fancy dress, and...
Did they let you in?
Well, I didn't have it on initially when I went in, and then I'd put it on and I tapped the girl in front who was the wife of one of my friends, and she turned around and she nearly shat herself.
Oh, no.
I
So
had
it has
my hood up.
So it serves a purpose.
It certainly does. Maybe I'll wear it on next week's show. I'll dig it out. Or I'll save it for our Halloween special. But yeah, Pump It, Electric Callboy, and we're pumped. The supporters are pumped. The players are pumped after that win over Houston. Still a long road ahead for the Whitecaps. And those kind of performances, as we said, they're not sustainable. Vanni knows that. Everyone knows that. They've got to find a way to make their life a lot easier. Because you look at the table just now, the Caps are sitting 11th in the West. They're 3 points off the playoff line, 5 points off 4th, and 6 points off 3rd. absolute nuts how the Western Conference is looking right now. And this has been a fantastic weekend of results for the Whitecaps. We've got to say that as well. Aside from their big 3 points, Atlanta beat Seattle 2-1. Toronto beat Nashville 4-3, in which was a crazy game as well.
Yep.
Insigne got his first goal for TFC.
Bernardeschi
Osorio got a couple.
Bernardeschi got his second. This one from
Yes.
the penalty spot after Insigne's woeful kick last week.
Yes, he's obviously off penalty duties now.
Yep.
It was a very good win for TFC, I've got to say. And it was one of those games that's like, well, I don't want TFC to win, but it would really, really help the Whitecaps if Nashville don't get any points in this one. Nashville played well. Mukhtar again, absolutely fantastic for them.
That moved them to within 4 points of the playoffs in the East as well.
Yeah, they're still hanging on there.
Which is currently held by the Chicago Fire, in part thanks to their victory over Vancouver.
Yeah, well, Fire got a big victory over the Clit today as well. A 3-2 win away from home. So they're really starting to fire into it just now. Galaxy lost 4-2, as we mentioned. Austin and San Jose played out a 3-3 draw. Not that we're likely to catch Austin, and San Jose is pretty much out of it, but still dropping points. Colorado beat Minnesota, which was good in that Minnesota then dropped points, but it put Colorado above the Whitecaps on the tiebreaker. So they're now back in it there or thereabouts. LAFC beat RSL 4-1, so that was good because, again, we're not going to be catching LAFC. And Portland and Dallas drew 1-1, so both dropping points there. That's exactly what you want. And having a look at the MLS West just now, there's 3 teams that you're basically saying they're out of it. So Houston on 25 points in 12th, San Jose on 24 and 13th, and KC, despite their big win today, still bottom on 23. They're out of it now. Even if they go on a big run, there's too many teams that I feel they have to overtake. But you're looking that there is 6 points between Dallas in 3rd and the Whitecaps in 11th, and that is lip-licking stuff for the run-in. So Dallas are 3rd on 36, Minnesota on 4th on 35, RSL 5th, 34, Nashville 6th, 33, Portland 7th, 33, Seattle 8th, 32, Galaxy 9th, 30, Colorado 10th, 30, Whitecaps 11th, 30. Now, that makes the Galaxy game next week absolutely massive.
Oh, yeah.
Because the wiggle room for the Whitecaps just now is pretty slim because tiebreakers and stuff that they're not doing great with. They've got 10 games left, 5 at home, 5 away. Galaxy first up next Saturday, then Colorado at home 4 days later. Then it's RSL away, Nashville home, San Jose away, Colorado away, Galaxy home, Sounders home, Austin home, Minnesota away. Now, if we're realistically talking about the Caps needing 48 to 50 points, which I don't know now that they necessarily do because of that logjam, because I do feel teams are going to be beating each other left, right and centre. Now, I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because just getting into the playoffs right now is the main thing. But you look at like the 3rd and the 4th spots and it's like they're in touching distance. Like you realistically go on a good run and you could get a home playoff game out of this. That's maybe getting ahead of ourselves and it is going to need a lot of work. But if we need 18 to 20 points still, if we still look at it that way, it's like how many do we think we can take from those games? And I'll break mine down and then you can give your thoughts. It's easy to maybe say, we can maybe win all 5 at home. That gives us 15. We just have to pick a couple up on the road. Job done. But you look at some of those home games and
Austin.
Yeah, Austin and Seattle. I don't know how much we take from that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know that we win both of those. I don't know that we even get points from both of those. I think we can get a point from Austin because it's the second last game of the season. They'll have already booked their spot by now.
Yeah, it's true. Austin might be trying things out,
They
resting.
could still be pushing, though, for first in the West, depending how results have gone.
That
so
is true.
there's that as well, because then you're at home the whole playoffs.
Aside from those two games and possibly Minnesota away, which is weird for the Whitecaps to be ending the season away.
Yeah.
That very rarely has that ever happened. Maybe it has in the MLS era. Aside from those last three games, those other games all seem like winnable, or not winnable, but like they should be in them. You know what I mean?
I mean, absolutely. The last three games are a bit terrifying because I don't see us necessarily getting a win in any of those last three games.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
Then you have to do the job in the first seven.
But you got to think Salt Lake away and San Jose away.
I think we can get a point in LA, and you have to look at beating Colorado at home because again, massive game, level in points with them.
Yep.
As of right now, that you beat the Galaxy, or at least draw with the Galaxy and beat Colorado. You take 4 to 6 points from these next two games, you've got a bit of breathing room, and you've moved up the table 100% because you're overtaking the teams that you're level in points with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're taking 4, let's just say 4 from them, a draw in LA and hopefully a win against Colorado. So that's 4 if you're 18 to 20. RSL away should be looking at least a point, maybe all 3. We have had mixed results down there, but I think we're going at a decent enough time of year. I fancy them to take 3 from Nashville at home, and then get 1 to 3 from San Jose and Colorado away from each game. Yeah. I'd hope we could beat San Jose.
The Colorado one always feels tough because of the altitude. Like it doesn't matter. You'll have guys playing there for the first time ever, like Kubas and Chef, and yeah.
Well, it was interesting watching the TFC game today because, like Insigne, I mean, it gets hot in Italy, but all the players were absolutely soaked through in no time. When Mukhtar was taking his penalty, there was like just water dripping off his beard. But their jerseys were all soaked. So it's like you've got these guys coming over playing in conditions like that they're just not used to.
Yeah,
it's like anyone that comes over from the UK as well. It's like you're not playing in those kind of conditions because it's winter seasons and stuff. So yeah, it's a good point. It's like, I mean, Ryan Gauld, when we spoke to him at the end of the season, said, "Oh, those games he was like gassed, and Houston with the heat and stuff like that. It took a lot out of him." But my number crunching, I'm thinking we take 15 points from those 10 games. Maybe 18. So
that would put me on 45 or 48?
Yeah, which might be enough, depending on how other results go. We could do with a string of results where there's draws all round. I mean, that would really, really help us.
Yeah, I think you're probably being optimistic in that, but if they do that, yeah, it's hard to see them maybe not finishing outside the playoffs.
I think this weekend's results have helped hugely because there's been so many points dropped. And if you have another couple of weekends like that, but it's going to be less and less weekends like that because down the stretch now it's West v West.
Right, exactly.
So you're needing Austin and LA to basically beat everyone that they play. Usually, in other seasons, you've got the 3rd and the 4th place team that you're kind of rooting for as well. But they're now within touching distance, so you don't kind of want them to necessarily be picking up wins. But it's going to be interesting. Maybe I'll bring back the best case scenario feature that I had a few years ago, where what we're looking for every week going into the games. I enjoy doing that. But the Whitecaps have made additions. Other teams have made additions. Shop now official. Becher re-added. Kind of a bit under the radar, that one, but obviously on the bench on Friday night. And Eric Godoy has moved on, and it's best for all parties concerned. I don't think this was the best environment to get him healthy. Playing on turf pitches wasn't going to help those injuries. He's such a good player. But we said at the end of last season, we said at the start of this season, we've said during this season, if he can't stay healthy, I was speaking to somebody on Thursday. I had lunch with him and we're talking about it, and this was before it was announced. And I said, "Oh, you've got to at some point like just cut him and just cut your losses and just let him go for the good of the team, so you can replace him." And that's what they've done, and it's the right decision.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with that. My only question is the timing and like what's the advantage of doing it now? I think you were telling me that like even if he fully recovers or whatever, he's not going to be match fit to contribute in like a playoff or whatever.
Well, I mean, he might have been in the playoffs,
So,
but in the
then
run-in, they can't risk him more than 1 or 2 games at a time.
So what's the advantage to doing this? Like, I mean, I understand cutting your losses, but do that in the off season, no?
Yeah, I mean, it could be he wanted to go, so they've done something like that. Or maybe they have got a free agent lined up.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Because that is the one position right now that they have to strengthen. It could be a mutual decision that he just wants to go, and they've said, okay, well, we'll let you go, but we won't pay you your salary.
Not that you see them using if they haven't already, which I don't think they have, but I wouldn't see them using a buyout between now and the end of the season anyways. But
no, I wouldn't think it would be, but I mean, it needs replaced. There had been rumours that there was a Guy Berba, but Whitecaps said there's never been anything in that. We've not had any talks. That's just paper talk, probably put out by agents. But a left-sided centre-back, to me, is a must for them to try and pick up. And whether it is a free agent, I mean, there could be guys available that's looking for deals in Europe just now. And if they don't get picked up, then MLS is their second choice.
Yeah, was it the last show we were talking about this? They've had very few left-footed center backs in the MLS era. It's like Derek Cornelius and Christian Dean, and I'm struggling to remember any others that were left-footed.
So I mean, who knows? We'll get Steve on that. He's very good at finding out what free agents are available and stuff. We'll get him trawling transfer market. But let's hope somebody is going to be coming in. They've said before they don't want to just make rash signings and just bring someone in for the sake of bringing them in. And that is the right thing to do. You want it to be a long-term thing. That's why I'm thinking someone like Christian Campagna, even if they do some short-term loans, bring him up. Very solid player. I'm very high on him. And I think he would be great back there. Maybe we can get both the Campagna brothers starting an MLS game.
But also, though, Michael, you can't say that this would be just a signing for the sake of a signing. You need to sign someone who can help you.
But what I'm meaning is it might not be the person that they're ideally wanting. So they could have identified a left centre back, but they can't get him till January or maybe the next transfer window. And it was interesting. I spoke that I'd listened to Nakamura's post-game chat after the Houston game. And he was saying, he was asked blunt question, do you feel you have the squad that can compete with the top teams in this conference? And he's like, no, I don't. And he said, and we're not going to have one for a while. You're talking several transfer windows before we're in that position.
Yes, except for we see this frequently. This year's example, of course, is Austin, where you can turn things around quicker in MLS than you can in most leagues.
Yeah.
But Houston...
Find yourself a 16-goal scorer, and that helps a lot.
But Houston does have, I think, they do have some issues that are harder to solve than others.
Yeah. But I mean, the Whitecaps, it has been a couple of transfer windows for us to get to this strong position. So sometimes it is slowly, catchy monkey kind of stuff, but good recruiting, and it's got the Whitecaps within touching distance now of the playoffs and touching distance off a home playoff game as well, which is absolutely crazy to think about. But that is it pretty much for the show. As I said, the Whitecaps are in touching distance of the playoffs. So for a wavelength song, I've got a song called Do You Want to Touch? And from a Whitecaps perspective, we do want to touch the playoffs. It's a band, we've been playing their 2020 football-themed album. Armchair Loyal is the name of the band. Their album is All You Need Is In Love. You can get it on Bandcamp, and a couple of folk have said that they have downloaded the album and they really like it. This is their song, which I'll preface it because, you know, Zach, I love a bit of innuendo. So this is a song that is basically made up of commentators and pundits talking about football with phrases that could be taken in more than one way.
Ah, I see.
Like balls to the face, that kind of stuff. So this is Armchair Loyal. Do you want to touch?
On the football front, we'll be looking at the midfield players, at the defenders, and of course at the strikers. In particular, we'll be looking at the defending pair of Burnleys, and then we're going to take a good look at this striking pair of Bristols.
Right on the edge of the 18-yard box. I don't think there was any contact with the Palace player. I think he just went down on himself.
He's worried with the players behind him. If you want to help him, he needs to come to the his face.
Remember that example of Kasut, who had the benefit of his Norwich team together for an international break, and he drilled them hard until they could barely walk.
Final of the Cup Winners' Cup, when Naeem lobbed Seaman from the halfway line.
Pinar as well, etc.
Swansea City take their second win of the Premier League season, and Ian Holloway, he has a huge job on.
Yeah, he's got his tracksuit bottoms on. The top comes shortly, and I can see Wayne Rooney being pulled off.
What to expect, you know, he's gonna come strong in the tackle and he's gonna come in your face.
Don't get many teams who'll come in your face high up the field.
Planted her feet in the ground and she knew she was going to get right on the hammer in from behind, and she did. Great run, isn't it? He just catches the fullback sleeping and comes inside of him.
Ivanovic's point there, he doesn't know whether to go in tight or whether to tell one of his sitting midfielders, Matic or Mikel, to pull back and come on him.
With the ball at his feet and a man up his backside. You know what to expect, you know, he's going to come strong in the tackle and he's going to come in your face.
Obviously Morales, Pinar as well, etc.
I can see Wayne Rooney being pulled off.
Come round the side, pull your shorts down and whack it in.
Drilled them hard until they could barely walk.
Great run, isn't it? He just catches the fullback sleeping and comes inside of him.
When Naeem lobbed Seaman from the halfway line.
And Ian Holloway, he has a huge job on.
armchair loyal with her innuendo-filled "Do you want to touch?", which includes the classic Zach of lobbing semen from 40 yards. It's like never tire of hearing that one.
I remember watching that. Was that 95?
Oh, I don't know now, but yeah, extra time, getting into penalties, everyone thought, and then Naeem. Yeah. Oh.
Well, this thing, he didn't fully lob it. It was like, it wasn't a real shot. It was like he was just sort of hitting the ball, right? Like that wasn't a shot.
Nah, but I mean, Seaman should have handled that better. I think that's a good way to end the show. We'd marked it explicit anyway, because any song that I play this month with Electric Callboy is going to have the show marked explicit. So it gives me a little bit more scope to play some other fun stuff. So we will be back with our show next weekend. Might be our last show for a couple of weeks because I am heading back to Scotland, and I'm not sure with the time difference and stuff how we're going to get some of that to work. So we may take a couple of weeks off, or I might just do some solo shows or whatever. So we'll keep you posted on that, but we'll definitely be back with a show next weekend. Before we go though, Zach, any final thoughts, anything that you've learned this week, or where can folk find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at ZacharyM. No, I'm just really enjoying the Bundesliga being back. It's so great to watch. And yeah, check it out. They've had some games on Sportsnet for free, and today they also had the Dortmund Leverkusen game on ABC available. So if you're bemoaning the fact that you have to pay a lot of money to watch leagues like the EPL or the Jupiler Belgian League, so there are some Bundesliga games on kind of, I guess, what we'd call basic cable.
Yeah, because you also find a few MLS games in various channels.
Oh, yeah.
I know some of the Boston and Chicago and even Seattle ones you can pick up. Like I've got my time shift package on Telus, and I know there's a lot of cord cutters and people that listen to this show that don't have cable because they tell me on Twitter when we chat about all these things. But yeah, I mean, there's ways to find games legally. Of course, there's other nefarious ways to find games. Everyone's tell me to get IPTV and save some money. But the other good thing as well, get yourself a VPN, and then you can watch a lot of stuff on like BBC iPlayer, ITV. I mean, they're free to view channels. If you get a VPN, you can watch Match of the Day on BBC, the English Premiership highlights. You can watch the Championship highlights on ITV this season. Those two channels as well of the FA Cup games. So
some of the Championship is still in the zone, I saw.
Yeah, it is. And then the highlight show was on a channel called Quest in the UK for the last couple of years, but it's gone to ITV now. And you can also watch the Scottish Premier highlight sports scene on BBC iPlayer. So if you've never invested in a VPN, highly recommend it. I should probably get in touch with it. Like, the VPNs are always sponsoring shows. So yeah, a VPN is definitely the way to go, and you can watch football all around the world that way. But that is pretty much it. I just want to finish the show. I meant to say this in the last show, and I kicked myself because I didn't do it. I just want to send our condolences to Julie Harper's family and friends. Yeah. I know, Zach, you know Julie. I knew Julie as well. Friends with her on Facebook, and we chatted about football for a number of years. She sent photos to me from RSL games that the Whitecaps were at for the site, and she was a lovely woman. Sadly passed away after a long battle with cancer, and they paid tribute to her. They had a tailgating party in her memory at the RSL game tonight. And just
did you see any of the live feed?
I didn't. I saw that they were doing it, but
I saw clips of it. Yeah,
I've seen a couple of clips post. I didn't watch it live, and it was very nice. She was such a wonderful, kind-hearted lady. So just want to send all our love and condolences to her family and friends from all of us at AFTN.
Mm-hmm.
But that is it for this episode. We'll be back next week, hopefully talking about another big Whitecaps win. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care, and mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. the atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
AFTN